Police in India have fired tear gas to halt a procession of farmers heading to the capital, Delhi. Farmers' unions from northern states called for the protests a day after failed talks with the government over better crop prices and income security. Police tried to disperse thousands of protesters that were gathering over 200 kilometres north of the capital, but streams of tractors still persevered, determined to bring their concerns to the government's door. Months ahead of national elections, farmers in India form a significant voting bloc. Let's go straight over to our Delhi Bureau Chief, Amrita Cheema. Amrita, are police managing to stop the farmers from getting to the capital?
Hi, Ben. Well, the farmers have not reached Delhi as yet. They've been stopped at border crossings in two neighbouring states, Haryana and Punjab. And in fact, one of the biggest gatherings is at the crucial Shambhu border crossing, which is about 200 kilometres north of the capital, Delhi. And we're seeing some really angry scenes at this border crossing. You have the police firing tear gas, using drones to fire tear gas on the farmers. We're also hearing reports of the farmers throwing stones at the police. Now, heavy fortifications have been made at this border crossing. Cement blocks have been put, razor wires and so on. But the farmers are equally determined that they are going to continue their march towards Delhi. And outside Delhi, again, massive fortifications. Again, they've imposed Section 144, which bans the assembly of people outside Delhi. And I was around Delhi, driving around Delhi this morning, and fortifications within Delhi itself. The roads have been blocked, barricades have been put up, disrupting traffic. So, of course, heavy preparations are being made, but the farmers still determined that they're going to make it to Delhi.
Tell us more about what's fueling this fury among farmers.
Ben, the farmers feel that the promises the government made at the end of their last protest have not been kept. The farmers had been promised that their income would double due to reforms within a few years. Nothing has happened. They had a whole series of demands, but the most significant and important demand for them is what is called the minimum support price, or MSP. Now, this guarantees them a minimum price and which they want to get away from the uncertainty of markets. They want to sell their crops and their produce to government wholesale markets and be protected from what they see unscrupulous, greedy traders who are exploiting, they feel, the smaller farmers. And we have to remember that most of the people in these protests are small farmers.
Now, the government's in talks with farmers' unions. What are the chances of a breakthrough, though?
Well, they've had 2 rounds of talks, Ben, in the last couple of days, and they have come to some kind of compromise on some of the 12 issues that the farmers had raised. For example, they've agreed to drop charges against protesters who took part in the rallies and protests last time. But again, on the main issue of the minimum support price, or a legal guaranteed price for the crops of farmers, has not been agreed upon. Until that happens, these talks are going to go nowhere.
What are the chances of escalation here? Could we see a repeat of the farmers' protests back 4 years ago in which dozens died?
Well, that is, of course, the nightmare for the government, because those farmers' protests lasted for months as the farmers were camped out on national highways, and there was also a great deal of public sympathy for them. And the nightmare situation would be that this kind of protest will become large like last time. And this comes, Ben, as India is heading for elections in a few months. And that's something the government cannot afford to have. The one issue on which the government had to back down in its last tenure was over the farmers' issues, and they had to repeal controversial agricultural legislation. Also keeping in mind that farmers are a very important vote bank for any government in India. And these farmers also are people who supply soldiers to the Indian army. Many of these farmers who are out on the streets have fathers, uncles, brothers, cousins who are at the border of India fighting for India. And they've also lost family members in wars in India. So to alienate them is something the government cannot afford. So, and the optics of beating up farmers at this stage before the election will be terrible for them. So I think the government is going to try and do all it can to bring a peaceful end to this protest.
Some really important context there from Amrita Cheema in Delhi. Thank you.